A monster-sized tornado tears through Oklahoma. This amazing twister was caught on camera in Chickasha. It's just one of hundreds that have hit this week alone. And that's not the only wicked weather we have to tell you about. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. We begin in Missouri. It just can't catch a break from Mother Nature's wrath. Another tornado struck the Show Me State yesterday. 24 people were hurt in Sedalia, which took a direct hit from that twister.
The wind started picking up, and we looked out the window and saw a tree fly through here.
This storm comes on the heels of Sunday's deadly tornado in Joplin. 8,000 buildings were destroyed there, along with at least 125 lives.
Yeah, pretty much everything, but everything we've lost now so far can be replaced. We've got our lives, we've got our dogs, so we pick up the pieces and go on from there.
The National Weather Service says more than 500 people have already lost their lives this year from storms. The highest recorded death toll in a single year was 519. That was back in 1953. We're also still on the flood watch, and now not just the Mississippi River, but also the Missouri. People have started evacuating along the Missouri River in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Officials expect the flooding to be the worst in more than 10 years. Shelley Russell from our affiliate KPTM tours the area with the fire chief and has more from the homes on Dog Bite Lane.
Get a little run at this one because it's going to get a little muddy.
I'm glad you're driving good.
Yeah. By Saturday, there'll be water at the bottom of this, and all of this will be flooded.
The good part is these people have been here for years. They're used to the river. They understand it's an animal that they can't control. And again, these people, a lot of them have lived down here for years, and they're just weekend things they come to. But there are some full-time residents in here too.
Hell yeah, I lost my yard for one thing last year, and I just replanted it. Just got it going good. Now I'm going to lose it again.
Harold Kephart has lived here for 6 years.
I've put everything I've got that'll get destroyed up as high as I can get them. Hope my sheds don't float away.
Over the next day, you're going to see a lot of belongings being moved out and things changing down here as they recognize that it is going to get worse. It's not like a 2-week or a week flooding event where they'll be able to get back soon. It's probably not going to happen.
Residents who live off of Dog Bite Lane tell me this road will be shut down in the next few days because it will be completely engulfed in water so deep that it will actually be well above some people's shoulders.
But I don't think most people realize the amount of water that's actually flowing right here until you actually see it.
And if seeing is believing,
This actually has been the highest this thing's been on flow.
these residents will be seeing themselves to some dry land real soon. Shelley Russell reporting for INN News.
The flooding is subsiding some in Louisiana along the Mississippi River. The Coast Guard patrolled Louisiana's Morganza Spillway and Atchafalaya Basin by air yesterday. Federal authorities have started closing parts of the spillway, reducing the need to divert water down another waterway. The man accused of shooting Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and killing 6 others last January is not competent to stand trial. A judge made that ruling in Tucson, Arizona after Loeffner had an outburst during yesterday's competency hearing. The 22-year-old will be reevaluated in 4 months. Kidnapped at 14 and raped repeatedly. 9 years later, justice is served for Elizabeth Smart. Her abductor, Brian David Mitchell, was sentenced to life in prison yesterday in Salt Lake City. He took Smart from her bedroom and held her captive for 9 months.
Today is the ending of a very long chapter and the beginning of a very beautiful chapter for me. So in regards to closure, yes, absolutely.
The verdict came down on National Missing Children's Day. A shopping mall in Reno, Nevada is teaming up with one organization to bring attention to thousands of children who have gone missing. Shannon Moore from our affiliate KRXI explains.
The outlets at Legends hosted a free child ID event with the Sparks Police today, hoping to not only find missing children, but also create an awareness about overall child safety.
It's really important for parents to, one, educate their kids on strangers and the dangers that lie out there when they're outside of the world and then when they're also online.
Marketing manager Samantha Ravo says they're committed to getting the public involved with the search on missing children. All month long, photos of missing children from the state of Nevada will be featured on their website.
We have high traffic volume on our web and in the center, and they may be out shopping and that child may walk by them. It just makes you more aware of what's going on.
Crime Prevention Officer Alejandra Mendoza suggests taking photos of your children every 6 months, along with keeping a journal of information on them, such as height, weight, color of hair and eyes, and any sort of medications they may need. He also suggests taking samples of hair or swabs inside their cheeks for DNA.
It's just a way of having information should your children wander away from you or some unfortunate accident happens, that they can be identified.
Outlets at Legends will be collecting donations for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children now through June 5th.
Shannon Moore reporting for INN News.
If you have seen any of the children posted on their website, please call NCMEC's toll-free 24-hour hotline at 1-800-THE-LOST. Time for Global News Now. An air ambulance has crashed into a residential area in India during a dust storm. All 7 passengers were killed. 3 others living in a nearby house died as well. The plane broke in half and caught fire, burning part of the house. President Obama in France for the G8 summit. He's seen here meeting with the Russian president. He's defending American plans to build a missile defense shield in Central and Eastern Europe to defend against rogue nations like Iran and North Korea. The Russians say the missile plan could threaten them. People who lost family members in the March 11th quake disaster have visited the no-entry zone around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to offer prayers for their loved ones. 111 people who were forced to evacuate made brief home visits on a supervised bus tour. They were allowed to stay in the area for only about 90 minutes. Disney has withdrawn its application to trademark SEAL Team 6 after the Navy put in its own request. SEAL Team 6 is the unofficial name of the Navy SEALs group that killed Osama bin Laden. Disney says it dropped its application out of respect for the Navy. And that's your Global News Now. Well, more of you are saving big money by buying big. Jenny Wurzberger has that and more as she gets back to business.
Higher prices are sending more people looking for a bargain, and they're finding that at Costco. The big bulk retailer says its profits rose 6% last quarter to $324 million. That's thanks to growing membership fees. Google introduces a new system that will let shoppers pay for goods at checkouts with their phones instead of their credit cards. The platform will use what's called near-field communications technology. Participating retailers include Macy's and Subway. The White House has made the decision to buy more than 100 Chevy Volts, plus install electric charging stations in 5 cities, including Los Angeles, Washington, and Detroit. The move comes as the White House creeps closer to its goal of operating 1 million electric vehicles by 2015, and also to decrease American dependence on oil. The Volt costs more than $40,000. For Back to Business, I'm Jenny Wurzberger.
Well, you can change the look of a room for just a few dollars. In tonight's Fixing It with Dee Armstrong shows us how fixing up a boring room can be as simple as making a new flower arrangement.
What is the secret or the basis of making a good flower arrangement?
Well, the first thing is get over fear of making one. I mean, don't be so worried about being perfect. Now, all floral designers work in a different way. I like to start with the foliage. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to simply put a base for the arrangement. We're going to go around and put the foliage so that we have a way for the flowers to set in there. Okay, we got to start there. Now I'm going to go with my focal flower, which is this. Now I've already trimmed mine to the length that I want.
Okay.
So we're just going to put them in there. And once again, one of the tips on flower arranging are odd numbers. That still goes. So most of the time you're going to do
odd numbers?
you're going to use 3, 5, 7 flowers of a type, and just like that. Now don't worry about it being perfect. No arrangement's going to be perfect, especially if I do it. But now I'm going to go with my freesia because we need something that kind of droop out. And once again, I've cut them to the height that I want.
Okay.
There. And if you don't know what size vase that you need, once again, I'm doing 3. The vase should be 1/3 of the height of the arrangement. Now that didn't take much time. Now I was prepped, and there you got it. And you can turn it, and I droop the leaves down a little bit more if time permitting, but there you go.
Wow. So you picked 3 of each type of flower, 3 of the greenery. The vase is 1/3 of the height of the...
Correct.
And then you put it in and just have fun. So one of the biggest keys is don't be afraid. Jump in there and do it. And when you have questions, ask someone. Call Judy.
I'm Dee Armstrong reporting.
Aspirin relieves pain and may even cut heart disease risk. But now new evidence shows it may have even more health benefits. Dr. Malika Marshall explains.
An aspirin a day keeps the doctor away and may even cut your cancer risk. That's according to a new large-scale analysis. British researchers looked at the results of 8 clinical trials involving more than 25,000 patients and found that taking a daily aspirin for several years reduced the risk of cancer-related death by 20%. The trials mostly compared men who took a daily aspirin for heart problems to those who took a placebo or other drug. Researchers used national cancer registries to see how many of the aspirin takers continued using it after the studies ended, or how many in the comparison group started taking aspirin. After 20 years, the aspirin users' risk of dying from several cancers dropped significantly. Lung cancer deaths dropped by 30%, colorectal cancer deaths by 40%, and esophageal cancer deaths were cut by 60%. But don't run out and stock up on aspirin just yet. There can be significant risks to a daily aspirin regimen, such as bleeding and stroke. So talk with your doctor first. I'm Dr. Malika Marshall.
Heading to the airport this holiday weekend, the radiation you will receive from the full body scanners is within acceptable levels. Test results from the scanners released in March showed some anomalies, such as missing data or calculation errors unrelated to safety. As a result, TSA ordered new tests. The agency reports the machines produce very little radiation. 3 Gainesville, Florida student science fair project is attracting interest from the military. The trio, made up of 2 seniors and 1 junior at Oak Hall School, recently placed 3rd for their project in microbiology at the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair in Los Angeles. George Solis from our affiliate GTN met the student scientist and shows us how their project goes far beyond a typical science experiment.
These are not your typical high school students.
These boys are tremendous science students, but they're also all-around human beings
who not only excel in the classroom, but on the court and even on the scales. They are also on the verge of a medical breakthrough in the treatment of bacterial infections like Salmonella and E. coli, which, according to the Center for Disease Control, puts at least 2,000 people in the hospital a year.
We bioengineered this protein, RASS, which is a naturally occurring protein in the human liver, basically to neutralize harmful bacterial poisonings.
A science fair project idea 4 years in the making. This group of Oak Hall seniors and juniors say they got the idea from the Salmonella outbreak in peanuts back in 2009.
We saw that it's a big problem, and kind of more recently with the eggs, you know, there's a huge recall once in a while, and a lot of people get kidney failure or sometimes paralysis, so it's a big problem.
The team says the difference between current treatments for bacterial infections and their discovery is that theirs attacks the toxin in the bacteria called lipopolysaccharides, or LPS, which is where the real danger is.
Our protein theoretically would have a greater ability to not only counteract the growth of the bacteria as current treatments do, but it would also counteract the toxin as well.
The trio has already published their research and has attracted the interest of Army medical researchers. This after placing 3rd at the International Science Fair in LA.
We actually got a grant from the Department of Defense last year to work on our project and to continue our research from here on out.
Which they will be doing from their Ivy League universities. George Solis reporting for INN News.
As you might imagine, the boys plan to continue their research in college.
The winner of American Idol Season 10 is Scotty McCreery!
The American Idol Season 10 crown, as you just heard, goes to country crooner Scotty McCreery. The 17-year-old beat out Lauren Elena after a record 122 million votes. Here's Scotty tearfully singing what will be his new release. We'll be right back.
Oh my goodness. But I know when love is real. Love you, Dad. By the way, my heart.
Well, it's certainly an unusual request for an excavation permit. A Pennsylvania man has applied for a permit to remove an airplane from his basement. Turns out Dan Reeves has been building a kit airplane in his house. Only problem, now he can't get it out. He will soon punch a hole in his basement so his plane can come out. Once he removes the craft, he plans to attach wings to it.
I didn't want to take the time to travel somewhere to work on it. Put the kids to bed, and I had to throw some coveralls on, and I work on it for a couple hours in the evenings, work on it on the weekends, and then head back upstairs.
Reeves hopes to fly his craft sometime this summer. I'm Mike Mickle. From all of us here at INN, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow.